Well, look at that. Down in the bottom of the bucket, it's completely full of rats. That is one of the best results I've ever seen when testing out a rat trap. Today for Mousetrap Monday, I'm excited to show you the Vulcan. It's what I consider to be the greatest large rodent trap ever invented. I'm kind of biased because I've been working with the inventor for the past 2 years to bring this to market. We've done extensive testing with motion cameras and tried it out on all different rodents, and we now have what I consider to be the perfect design. It sits on a bucket and it resets itself so you can catch a lot of rats at one time. My record is 8 rats in one night, but you can catch even more. Now in this video, I'm going to show you footage of how it works both on rats, squirrels, and chipmunks. So hopefully after watching this video, you'll realize that your rodent problems are solved. It's not a mouse trap, but if you have any problems with rats, squirrels, or chipmunks, you need the Vulcan Rat Trap. Now when you first receive your Vulcan trap, there is some assembly required. I'll show you how to put it together. It's pretty simple, but this gives me a chance to show you all the components and just how much thought and engineering went into making this trap. These are the sides. It says right and left. There's a top, a 2-part ramp, the tilting floor, and the base. Underneath the base is a circle that fits on most standard 5-gallon buckets. You lock the trap to the bucket with this pin that slides over and fits underneath the lip of the bucket. That way, once you catch a rat or squirrel, they're going to try to escape. They'll push on it, but there's no way it's locked in place. They can get out. Over here is a bait tray with a cover and a pin. This will slide out. This pin can also be used for the switcheroo. We'll pull off the bait cover. And as you can see, this is a perfect spot for peanut butter, sunflower seeds, or whatever bait you're going to use to draw in the rats, chipmunks, and squirrels. Now also you'll notice some other features, like right here is a piece of metal. That lines up with a magnet on the tilting floor. This also has a counterweight and 2 pieces right here that fit onto the base to make a teeter-totter. Now you'll notice when the trap is set and held with the magnets, the tipping floor is angled slightly down. That's a key feature we worked out with prototypes and many months of testing with real rats and squirrels with motion cameras. What we found is if there was a flat floor, they feel it move and they can jump back. But when it's angled down, their paws are lower and their natural instinct is to jump forward. That way, when their body weight causes that magnet to break, there's no chance of them backing out and escaping. But they would try to jump to the side. That's why we have to add the sides and the top. To finish putting the trap together, we'll put the wall that says left. We'll line up the tabs to the holes in the base. And it snaps into place. Here's the side for the right wall. And then the top. That was very easy. They fit together like Legos. Back here is a place for the ramp, but this trap is basically ready to put on the bucket. We'll put the trap on the top and then lock it in with the pins. This will slide over underneath the bucket lip. That's secure. There's also another locking mechanism with the bait cover on the other side. It goes underneath the lip as well, and once the pin's in place, there's no way the trap is coming off from the bucket. The trap also includes 2 pieces that fit together to make the ramp. You join them in the middle. The pokey parts go on the ground, and over here there's 3 tabs that line up with the base of the trap. Now the rats or squirrels or chipmunks can go up there, get the bait at the back of the trap, tip, and go down. Now we did extensive testing with my pet rats. We tried baby rats of small sizes, big rats, and one after another, they just kept going in and getting caught. As you can see, when they hit that breaking point, the magnet releases, and with that angled floor, their natural instincts to jump forward and they drop down. And the best part is you don't have to touch the trap, it resets itself. That way you can keep catching rats without getting your scent on there. It's very safe around pets and kids, not only with our pet rats, but I did extensive testing with wild rodents. Now by far, I've found the most difficult large rodent pests to deal with are brown rats. They go by a couple different names, including sewer rat, city rat, or Norway rat, but brown rats populations can explode very quickly, and they can be found infesting cities and rural environments. I've dealt with them in chicken coops and barns, even in garages and houses. And what makes them so difficult is they can be very trap shy. They're highly intelligent and exhibit a behavior called neophobia. That's a fear of new things in their environment. So when you introduce a new item like a trap, they might avoid it even if it's full of food. But through extensive testing, I have found the Vulcan can be very effective at catching brown rats if you employ a few techniques and tricks. I'm going to explain those at the end of the video, so if you want to know the tricks for catching brown rats with the Vulcan trap, watch to the end. But one of the easiest rodents I've dealt with are chipmunks. Chipmunks are very cute, they're a native species, and I like watching them, but not when they come inside my house, my garage, my chicken coop. They can chew on things, they poop everywhere, they're looking for food, they'll completely fill their pouches of their cheeks with food. So I found the best bait is sunflower seeds. Have a trail going up the ramp, some on the ground, and a bunch up there inside the trap, and eventually those chipmunks will come up there and get caught. Chipmunks have a relatively light body weight, but they're a perfect size for this trap. Now you do have to check local laws. In my state, chipmunks are protected. So we don't add water when we catch them. We make this a live catch trap. And after we catch them, we relocate them where they won't be a problem and set them free. So the Vulcan trap is a great option for catching chipmunks. When I catch them, I call it a monk dunk. Now the next large rodent I deal with is squirrels, both tree squirrels and ground squirrels. They're a very large rodent, and they'll come inside buildings and chew on things. They can be a real nuisance, but also they're a sucker for the bait inside the trap, and once they go in there, they get caught. Squirrels are very agile, but once that tips, they just don't have a chance, they drop in the bucket. And I found once you catch one ground squirrel, sometimes it attracts a second one, and you can catch multiple. Again, these are a native species, so I take them far out in the wild and set them free, but the Vulcan is really a great option for dealing with squirrels. Now the third pest I've dealt a lot with are packrats. Packrats are a native rat species, and they can be a real nuisance. They're really drawn towards houses, barns, and garages. They love collecting things to make their nest, that's why they call them a pack rat. But being a New World native species, they're nothing like the brown rat. They're less social. I usually find them only in pairs or a mother with babies. They're not as aggressive, so once you catch them, they're more friendly. They have larger ears, bigger whiskers, and a bushy tail. And they are not trap shy at all. They will go right into the Vulcan trap and drop down. Catching pack rats with this trap is very, very easy. And being a native species, I don't kill them. I take them out in the wild and set them free. And finally, we're going to deal with the brown rat. This also works on roof rats and black rats. These non-native rats are an absolute menace. Now I've set the Vulcan trap with some of the best bait out there and waited with motion cameras, and I see a huge number of rats. They'll check out the traps, but oftentimes they will avoid going in. You might occasionally catch a rat that's just really hungry or not very smart, but for the most part, I've had brown rats avoid all traps, not just this trap. So here's the secret. We're going to take our trap and place the pin in the bottom that locks it down and makes it not work. So instead of a trap, we're turning this into a feeding station. It may seem very counterintuitive to actually feed the rats you're trying to get rid of, but this trains them to think that this trap is safe. I've noticed that the large rats, the adult breeding rats, will watch the babies go in there. Babies aren't very smart and they go right inside to get the food, and the other larger rats will watch them. They have no problem sacrificing baby rats, send them in first, see if it's dangerous, and if not, they will move in. So I found that feeding these rats for over a week, maybe two, is the best solution to actually get rid of the rats. That way you give time to train the rats, you have to put new food in on a regular basis, and once all the food starts to disappear, you know you have these rats. They are now comfortable with the trap, they don't see it as something dangerous, and you can pull the switcheroo technique. Take out the pin in the bottom, place the same bait you've been feeding them, and these rats won't know what happened. For the last week or two, they felt the trap's very safe. They go in there, they feed. After employing this technique, we started catching the babies one after another, and then we caught the adults. In the end, we caught 8 rats. I found those are way better results than just leaving it set. You might catch a few babies, but the other rats watch it and they avoid the trap. They learn it's dangerous. So if you're going to try to catch brown rats, first do the switcheroo, lock down the trap with the pin, feed them until the bait is gone, then pull the pin. Eventually I found that I was able to catch all the rats.
Well, look at those results. Down in the bottom of the bucket, it's completely full of rats, and rats of different sizes. These are brown rats, one of the hardest animals to catch. This has to be one of the all-time best rat traps ever invented because it resets and keeps catching the rats.
Now, if you want to try out the Vulcan rodent trap for yourself to deal with rats, squirrels, and chipmunks, I'll put a link where you can buy it down in the description. We did a pre-sale a couple months ago, and that sold out very, very quickly. So if you're thinking about buying it, don't delay, click on the link. That is an affiliate link, and I get a small commission on each sale. I've been working with the inventor for over 2 years. We've been constantly testing it out, upgrading and improving the design, and I have a feeling we have one of the best rat traps on the market. So buying this trap helps me out, and hopefully we can help you deal with your nasty rodent problem. Now I can't guarantee it will catch every rat. Some of them are just too careful and cautious, but with the switcheroo, you can catch a lot of the rats, and squirrels and chipmunks are a sucker for this trap. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider clicking that button. I've posted over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and currently I'm posting new videos every Monday. So if you want to see the best videos on how to catch mice, rats, squirrels, chipmunks, moles, voles, and gophers, stay tuned.